The year was 1959, the golden anniversary of flight in Canada, and the 35th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Air Force. To mark these anniversaries, the Air Force created a spectacular team of precision flyers. They were to thrill the country for 5 summers. Their aircraft, the F-86 Sabre jet, now survives only in monuments and in museums, but is well remembered by all who saw the Golden Hawks. One of the Sabres used by the Golden Hawks now rests quietly in the National Air Museum in Ottawa, silent and still, but as sleek and polished as it ever was. To keep it company, many distinguished mementos of flight in Canada. They're forgotten now by any but the oldest of old-timers, but they all played their part through the years. It all began in Baddeck, Nova Scotia in February 1909. J.A.D. McCurdy made the first airplane flight in Canada in the Silver Dart. From some 40 miles per hour in 1909 to 500 miles an hour in 1959. The Air Show was the stage for the Golden Hawks. They displayed their talent at shows in just about every part of Canada and on special occasions in the United States. The experts everywhere said the Hawks rated with the best aerobatic teams in the world, and Canadians in their thousands enthusiastically agreed. The Hawks thrilled the crowd with a full 25-minute sequence of maneuvers, all of which are standard for fighter pilots, but with a difference: in beautifully flown, tight formations. Behind every 25 minutes of air show, there were hours upon hours of intensive training and rehearsal. A variety of formations, including deliberately awkward formations, very difficult and demanding. Passes and rolls at extreme low levels just off the deck, and at speeds of up to 600 miles per hour. Each maneuver was dependent on the precise placement of each aircraft. They had to join and split off or meet at just the right moment. A low pass at high speed must lead to a precise position in the air seconds later. Precision was the name of the game. and it could only come from constant practice and superb flying skill. Whether the formation called for 3 aircraft or 4 or 5 or 6, the formation was tight, with wingtip close to wingtip. One outstanding feature, a tight group landing. There were constant ground preparations, too. The Air Force was justly proud of the caliber of its displays and saw to it that every turnout showed the service at its smartest. Every show was somewhat different, but basically the same. There were officials and speeches, and always the very important person who would take the salute and inspect the honor guard. The fame of the Golden Hawks grew quickly, and there was always a crowd of fans to greet them when they arrived. Frequently, the most admiring fan was the very important person. The Hawks were celebrities, and they were treated as such. And so there were always ceremonies, stunts, fun, and games. Naturally, the Hawks were adopted by an Indian tribe and given headdresses to wear and to keep. Cherished souvenirs of happy events. Inevitably, there was a beauty queen or a movie star to pose with for publicity pictures. Television celebrities turned up from time to time and were happy to meet the Hawks and mug a little for the camera and for the pilots. Some of the memories were private fun, like that pesky old car in New Brunswick that didn't seem to want to get to the airfield on time. It was a lot more temperamental than any Sabre jet. Naturally, they appeared at the Calgary Stampede, on the ground as well as in the air. And then, somewhere or other, a young man turned up with, naturally, Hawks. Occasionally, the fun and games were strenuous, like that time in Vancouver when the Navy decided to test the mettle of the Air Force. Some of the best moments on the ground were with the young fans, eager for autographs. This the Hawks really appreciated. Each one of them, as a youngster, had been infatuated with flight and flyers. But the big moments, of course, were the actual shows themselves. They were held all over the country, from Newfoundland to Vancouver Island. From mid-May to mid-September in 1959 alone, there were over 40. Without exception, they drew huge crowds, eager to see the latest in the world of flight. just about ready for the Hawks. Always there were last-minute discussions, minor changes to be made in consideration of wind and weather. And then it was time to move.
Gentlemen, on behalf of the RCAF, I'd like to welcome you to this part of today's flying display. It features Canada's jet formation aerobatic team, Golden Hawks.
Airborne, and the show is on. Singly, or in groups of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, they swooped and curved in the graceful figures of an aerial ballet. Golden Hawks. They were good, very good, and they gave good times and good memories to all who saw them.